Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. This is going to be my third one week, one genre vlog where I will use a random spinner wheel to choose a genre of books, and then I will read that genre of books for a week and vlog the experience. So I will go ahead and link the previous episode up in the cards. Obviously this is number 3, so I have done 2 others. I have done horror and I have done romance. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the wheel up and we are gonna see what it has in store for us today. All right, you are looking at the spinner wheel right now on the screen. I have contemporary, mystery, thriller, classics, historical, sci-fi, and fantasy left. So let's give the wheel a spin and see which one I will be reading in this vlog. Okay, classics. So I do have a ton of classics that I haven't read that are just sitting on my shelf. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, I collected like the Barnes & Noble classics editions. So I have a lot of those. So let me go ahead and take a look at my existing TBR and see which ones I want to read for this vlog.
2,000 years later.
All right, all, it is a couple of months later, almost 3 months later, because we are in the last week of October. So because of that, even though this is a classics vlog, I am wanting to read some spooky classics for the Halloween season. I really have not done a lot of spooky seasonal reading this month. I don't really think I've done any, actually, except for one thriller book that I read by Stephen Graham Jones, which was crossed with horror. So I want to do some classic horror reading. I know I've already done a horror vlog, so I will link that up above. And then the last one week, one genre vlog I did was a romance vlog, so I'll link that one up there as well. But let me go ahead and talk about the TBR because I am being a little ambitious with this, but these are all fairly short, so I'm hoping I can get through these and potentially a couple more. So let's chat about it. The first one that I'm going to be reading is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is by Robert Louis Stevenson. This one has kind of been on my radar for a while. I just picked up this cloth-bound edition from Penguin, and I really, really like these. I would love to collect a lot of these covers, and I'm curious to see what I think about this one. I know the basics of the story, and I have read books based on this story, so I'm looking forward to reading the original one, but I feel like this is a perfect book for spooky season, so this will be the first one that I read. I will most likely be listening to this one on audio, but this will be the first book for this vlog. Then Audible has a version of The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, which is narrated by Emma Thompson. This is actually a collection of short stories. So my version is called The Turn of the Screw and Other Ghost Stories by Henry James, but I'm just going to be reading The Turn of the Screw. So let me see if it's got like page numbers here. Yes, so it's about 100 pages long. So again, not very long. And there is a version narrated by Emma Thompson, which I just couldn't pass up. It's available on Audible for free if you are a member or subscriber. So I will be listening to that one as well. I have obviously this bigger collection, but I'm not going to read the rest of the stories in here because I want to read a short story collection by Ray Russell. This is Haunted Castles. This cover's kind of creepy, so prepare yourself, but it is right here. I picked this up several years ago and just have not had a chance to read it. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go, even though I don't have the best luck with short story collections. I'm hoping that because these are all by one author, maybe it'll go a little bit better. But this one is called Haunted Castles, The Complete Gothic Stories, and it is by Ray Russell. I'm gonna count and see how many stories are in here, so give me just a second. There are 7 stories. That's actually perfect because this vlog is going to last 7 days, so I can do 1 story per day. So that is perfect. I did not know how well that was going to work out. There is a version of this book available on Audible, but I don't know if I'm going to pay for it or not. I may just read these physically, so you can stay tuned because obviously I'm not starting this vlog today. We're still on Sunday, but I will be starting tomorrow. So I will read the first story of this tomorrow. And then I have a little tiny book called The Stranger. This is by Albert Camus or Camus. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. It's very tiny, but when I Googled like horror classics, this one came up. So I don't really know very much about it, but it is very short. This one has 123 pages. So obviously this should be a quick read. He was born in Algeria, and this is a translated work. This one in particular was translated by a man named Matthew Ward. So we'll give this one a read as well. But those are going to be the 4 books that I'm hoping that I can get to in this vlog. This week is parent-teacher conference week at work, so I do have to stay late on Tuesday and Wednesday until 7:30. And then Thursday, we have an all-day teacher work day where parents can come in for conferences during that day time period. So I should be able to get quite a bit read, especially because these are not very long. I'm hoping that once I get these done, I can go ahead and also tack on a couple of Nancy Drew stories, because those are also considered classics, and I am behind with my Nancy Drew reading. If you have not tuned into previous videos of mine, I have made a goal to read 12 Nancy Drew books per year in an attempt to read the 56 original Nancy Drew. So I will finish that off next year in 2026, but I am behind. I have like 4 that I need to read, so I would really love to tack 2 of them onto this vlog, but we'll kind of see how that goes. So that's what you're gonna see. That is the TBR for this vlog. I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping that I will like the majority of these. I've heard that Henry James's writing is a little bit difficult to read, but because it's going to be audio, I'm hoping that it will go a little bit more smoothly. But yes, that's going to be the TBR. That's what you're going to see in this vlog. So without further ado, let's get reading. Good morning, all. I did finish The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde yesterday. I listened to most of it at work and then finished the last like 30-ish minutes when I was home. I really enjoyed this one. I felt like this had the exact vibes that I was hoping it would have. It's perfect for spooky season and the week of Halloween. So I feel like most people are familiar with what this story is about, because there are a lot of books that are based on this story as like a source material. The most popular one I feel on BookTube is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. That's a trilogy. I did read that whole thing and really enjoyed that. That one takes other tales as well and kind of incorporates them into the story, but the main character is the daughter of Dr. Jekyll. So that was my second experience with a piece of media based on this. The first one was actually a storyline in the Dark Shadows, original Dark Shadows TV series, and that explored this story as well in the Dark Shadows format. So I was already familiar with what this was about, but I really enjoyed this for the most part, and I'm giving it 4 stars. I think my biggest complaint would be that the reveals happen through letters at the end of the story rather than having something a little bit more action-packed happen. So that would be my one complaint, but I am giving it 4 stars. Also, Audible has a version available for free for members that is narrated by Richard Armitage. So if you're gonna listen to any version of this book, his is the way to go because he was phenomenal. But if you're not familiar with this, let me kind of give you a little synopsis. So this story is told from the point of view of Mr. Utterson. He is a lawyer for Dr. Henry Jekyll. Dr. Jekyll comes to him with a redone will that kind of sparks some outrage on behalf of the lawyer, because the will states that should Dr. Jekyll be killed or disappear for any length of time, his entire estate should be transferred over to Mr. Hyde. And while Mr. Utterson is out on a walk with another friend of his, he learns from that friend that Mr. Hyde is a very nefarious character. The friend witnessed Mr. Hyde trample a small girl because they ran into each other on the street, and he just trampled straight over her. When the friend intervened and basically told Mr. Hyde that he was going to have to make reparations and amends to the family, Mr. Hyde took him to this rundown house and proceeded to give him a check that was signed by Dr. Jekyll. So this puts into Utherson's mind that Hyde has some sort of blackmail on Dr. Jekyll, and that kind of kicks off the whole story. So that's a little bit about it. I don't want to spoil it for those of you who aren't familiar or don't want to know exactly what happens. That's kind of the setup. But I really enjoyed this. I'm giving it 4 stars, and I'm really glad that I chose to read it for this vlog. And it's very, very short. So if you're looking for a quick Halloween-ish read, this is a good one. So this one is done. I have also just started the audio of The Turn of the Screw. Now I've mentioned my collection here has a bunch of different short stories in it. I am only going to be reading The Turn of the Screw. This one is also available for free on Audible, and it again has the introduction narrated by Richard Armitage, but the story itself, because it comes from a woman's point of view, is narrated by Emma Thompson. So I'm enjoying this one so far. I'm only on chapter 4. I have about 80 pages left, so this will get done today and I will give you full thoughts. I have seen many reviews state that Henry James's writing is very flowery and over the top and they don't enjoy it, but I'm enjoying it decently well with the audio. So I'm liking that piece of it, but I can definitely see that this would be tedious to read physically because it's very wordy to say very little. That being said, so far so good. I enjoyed kind of the introduction and the kickoff, and we are now into the actual story. I believe this is called The Turn of the Screw and Other Ghost Stories, the book is. So obviously, The Turn of the Screw does have something to do with a ghost, and I do believe at the end of chapter 3, we have sighted the ghost for the first time. So there you go. That's my little update so far. 1 book done, 1 book in progress that should be done today. So hopefully I can keep at this same pace and get through everything I wanted to read for this vlog. So I will give you an update on this one once I have completed it, but so far, so good. All right, all reading update time. I have finished listening to The Turn of the Screw. This actually took me 2 days, so I listened to it Tuesday and Wednesday. People were coming in and out of the book fair a lot, obviously, over the course of those 2 days, so I really didn't have a lot of time to listen. I thought I'd be able to get this done on Tuesday, but that didn't happen. So because of that, I am a little bit behind on my reading plans for this vlog, and I'm gonna have to change a couple of things. So I will not be getting to the short story collection because it is actually Saturday already, which means I have today and tomorrow to finish out this vlog. Today I'm going to be reading The Stranger by Albert Camus, or Camus. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. If you just heard my cat, she just sneezed. So this is what I'm going to be reading today. And then tomorrow I am going to read one of the Nancy Drews. I believe it is called The Clue in the Crossword Cipher. I can't remember if this is 43 or 44. I'll put it on the screen here. But those are going to be the last 2 books for this vlog. The reason for that is that I am also trying to finish Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson, which is not a classic, so I'm not talking about it in this vlog, but this was my buzzword pick for October, and I need to get it finished before I start the next vlog on Monday. So because of that, this one and the Nancy Drew are going to be the last 2 books for this vlog. But let's backtrack a little bit and talk about The Turn of the Screw. This had the bones of what could have been a good story, but the writing really leaves a lot to be desired. I mentioned that Henry James uses a lot of words to say very little, and that really got in the way of what could have been a good ghost/possession story. So that was kind of a bummer. I did like Emma Thompson's narration, although I felt like she was a little over the top in places. But again, the prose and the story itself was kind of lacking. So I'm giving it 3 stars. I am glad I finally read it, but it was not as good as I was hoping it would be. So far, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is my favorite from this vlog, although that one obviously was not perfect either. I liked it more than The Turn of the Screw, which is okay. I kind of had a feeling that that would be the case. So I have marked this book as incomplete on my Goodreads. I'm counting it towards my Goodreads challenge because the one that I wanted to read in here was The Turn of the Screw. But knowing that I didn't love his writing style, I don't know if I will ever read the rest of the stories in here, but it's there if I ever decide I want to go back. The Turn of the Screw was really main book that I wanted to read. And I am also trying to collect these Penguin cloth-bound classic editions, so it will stay on my shelf even though I didn't love the story. So I don't even know if I've mentioned what this is about, so if I did, apologies, but I'm gonna do it again right now. We are following a woman who is hired as a governess for a boy and a girl, with the caveat that she is to leave their guardian alone and not bother him with any issues that she may run into. So the whole thing is a little weird with the setup. She goes to this estate and meets the girl first, and then the boy comes back from school and she finds out that he has been expelled from his school and he is not allowed to go back there. And then it turns into kind of a ghost story because she starts seeing these two figures around the estate and she learns that they were former employees. So that's kind of the setup, and then the story goes from there. Again, he uses a lot of words to say very little. Very bad with run-on sentences and descriptor words that don't need to be in there. So it was tedious a little bit to listen to, would have been more tedious to read physically, but I am glad that I now know what the story was actually about because it is referenced here and there. I have heard of the story, but didn't really know what it was about. So as I already mentioned, 3 stars for that one. So let's chat about The Stranger. I'm just gonna kind of read a little bit on the back. It says, through this story of an ordinary man who unwittingly gets drawn into a senseless murder on a sun-drenched Algerian beach, Camus explored what he termed the nakedness of man faced with the absurd. So this is a New American translation, and I'm curious to see what I think of it. It's called a haunting novel, so that's why I kind of thought it would fit well in this vlog. This was originally published back in 1942. It says the first vintage international edition was March 1989. He actually won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1957. So this is what I'm going to be reading, and I'm very curious to see what I think. As I've already mentioned, it's pretty short, so let me see how many pages we've got here. 123. So I do think I can get this done today, and then that means I can finish off this vlog with a Nancy Drew book tomorrow. So that's what you're gonna see in the rest of this vlog. Hopefully this one will be a winner. I will come back to you maybe when I'm like halfway through and let you know how it's going, and then finish it off today, hopefully. So see you then. All right, all, I have finished The Stranger, and I did not do a halfway point check-in because it took me ages to get just to like page 32 when I was reading this physically. Thankfully, I was able to find an audiobook of this on Everand, so I did finish reading this via audio, and I don't know if I'm just not smart enough for this type of literary work, but I did not understand the point of this at all. I did not have a good time with it. I found it very tedious to read, even with the audiobook. We are following a man named Merceau who kind of just moves through life completely unengaged. He does not feel any deep emotions. He just kind of goes through life doing the motions, and he's okay with that. So the book starts off with his mother passing away. That is like the first sentence. So he goes to the home where she has been living and attends her funeral, and then just carries on life like nothing big has happened. He befriends, if you can call it that, because he does not consider this person a friend, even if he says, yeah, okay, we're friends. He befriends a man who lives in his building, and the man kind of leads him a little bit astray. He ends up killing a man on a beach for like no reason. So that's the first half of the book. That's part 1. Part 2 is all about like the trial and the fallout of him doing this. And regardless, I don't see the point of this. I did not find this interesting. I did not find this engaging. And the fact that people are giving this 5 stars and calling it this amazing piece of literature, in fact, it has won the Nobel Prize okay? He won a Nobel Prize in literature for this book, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I'm giving it 2 stars. I just did not see the point of this at all, and I found it incredibly tedious and hard to get through, considering that it only has 123 pages. So this was not at all what I thought it was going to be, and that's kind of my thoughts on it. I just don't understand it. I don't understand how anyone can think that this is great. Obviously, I am missing the point here. I am not getting out of it what many others have gotten out of it, but to me, this was a waste of time. I'm not gonna lie. I did not have a good time with this. And because it took me 2 days to get through 123 pages, we're gonna have to end the vlog here. So I did read 3 things for this vlog. Let's kind of do a quick recap. My favorite was the first one that I read, which was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This one I just felt was actually a worthwhile, engaging, interesting story, and I did enjoy the writing for the most part, but the audiobook is where this one really shined. Shout out to Richard Armitage. Then I read The Turn of the Screw, and this one was less fun. 3 stars. I've already talked about why. I feel like it had the bones of a good story, but I didn't really enjoy it personally because of the writing, but this one was a 3-star. And then we're ending the vlog on a down note with this one because I'm giving it 2 stars. So the vlog went steadily downhill with each book that I read, but that happens. I am glad to have gotten these 2 read. This one especially because it's been on my shelf for a while, and I've always been kind of curious about the phrase "the turn of the screw" and what it means in terms of the story. So I am glad to have given that one a read. Again, I don't know if I will ever go back and finish the rest of the stories in here just because his writing is not my favorite. There are actually other stories in this one though, and I would be interested in reading those. So it says other tales of terror. So we've got The Body Snatcher, Olala, a chapter on dreams, and then there's like a little essay of some sorts, which is called Diagnosing Jekyll, the Scientific Context to Dr. Jekyll's Experiment and Mr. Hyde's Embodiment. So that's what's the rest in here. I do see myself going back and finishing that one at some point, but overall I was reading this for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So that was the winner. Clear standout of the 3 books that I read in this vlog. I have started reading the 44th Nancy Drew, but I'm not going to cover that in this vlog because it is Monday and I need to move on to the next vlog. So I will finish that up hopefully today, and then the next vlog you see after this one is going to be my November buzzword, where I am finally reading Legends and Lattes, which I did start this morning and hope I will really enjoy. But that's an aside. This was my classics vlog. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of this video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave me the ghost emoji in honor of the ghost story plot in The Turn of the Screw. And I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.